Level 90, Power Forgotten. Sue seeks an adventurer with a penchant for magical. Oh, hello. Did Brukivu send you to help recover our stolen treasure? Thank the heavens, and judging by your accoutrement, you're learned in the arcane arts. Yes, if so, we've need of your power and wisdom. Truth be told, it is wisdom that we require most. You see, even though the treasure has been guarded by our people for generations, we know little of its true nature. In ages past, the forests of our homeland were plagued with terrible beasts, a constant source of fear and danger. To combat this menace, our mages spent many moons researching the treasure known as the Perch of the Apex. Upon unlocking its secrets, they were able to drive the monsters from the woods, bringing peace at last. With the threat all but eradicated, our forebears forbade any further use of the treasure and enshrined it within the village. As the years passed, we slowly forgot what it was to live in fear, yet as our struggles faded into memory, stories surrounding the Perch of the Apex became legend, then myth. Now none living are certain of its true power. Yet the peace was shattered by a member of the Passage of the Unbound. The villain wheedled his way into our trust and stole upon my husband, the treasure's appointed guardian, catching him unaware with a terrible blow that left him unconscious. He is yet to awaken, so my daughter Tepeke has set forth to retrieve what was stolen. Unlike her father, she has no skill in the arcane arts and chose the path of the sword. That's why I've been seeking someone with the knowledge she lacks. Should the ancient power be unleashed, please, if you can find it in your heart to help Tepeke, then I would be forever grateful. Consider it done. If there's a mystic artifact involved, count me in. Oh, thank you, thank you. Now our only clue to the thief's whereabouts is from something he mentioned during his stay in our village. He spoke of his desire to bring change to a place called Ratatan. That is where Tepeke decided to begin her search, so she boarded a ferry bound there by way of Limsa Laminza with her trusted sword and shield close at hand. That's how you'll know her. She agreed to stay in Ratatan to gather information until aid arrived. I know nothing of the place, but it's likely she can be found in a marketplace or some such. Please, bring our treasure and my daughter safely home. Is she in Yedlamot or Razatan? Because she's in Razatan. Looks like they showed Yedlamot. Oh, are you looking for me? Whatsoever for? Billy, and you say my mother sent you? I take it she's already explained the details, such as how we know next to nothing of the treasure and its capabilities. We have only the legends passed down through our forebears to go on. They speak of a Tural Vidral of an owl that once terrorized the forest, whose soul is sealed within the Perch of the Apex. Tales have only become more vague as the mists of time obscure the treasure's origin. Even our village's eldest remembers naught but an ominous warning uttered by those who once wielded its magics. Master of the Apex shall be showered with good fortune, yet leave only sorrow in their wake. Clear that despite owing their safety to the Apex's power, our forebears viewed it as something to be feared. It must be truly immense. Now, on to the matter of the thief. Even during our brief acquaintance, he made plain his desire to bring change to Razatan. Naturally, I've started my search here and have been seeking anyone who's expressed dissatisfaction with the status quo. Sure enough, I soon heard stories of a recent arrival, a self-styled savior of Razatan who proclaims that he will lead the city to greatness and calls himself a justiciar. Apparently taken on the burden of personally exterminating the beast which infests Thavnair's wilds. He made a great show of claiming he alone is equal to the task. He certainly draws a crowd with his boasting. They only watch with morbid curiosity as he sets off into the jungles alone. I realize this could have nothing to do with our problem, but even the smallest lead must be pursued. I've heard he often gives his speeches at the region's smaller settlements, so shall we go see this just to assure for ourselves? This here? It's decided, I hear. Yedlamad would be a good place to start. Hopefully there we can find our next crumb of a clue. Silly, we're in luck. This boy saw the very man we seek. Seems he gave the same grand speech about saving the people, claiming that danger lurked nearby before venturing forth to combat it alone. Yet the Radiant host could not well stand idle if there were truly beasts afoot, so one of them followed him. All we need to do is pick up their trail. He ran towards the shroud, but you might be able to spot him from Kajaya's footsteps. You can see the whole forest from there. Thanks, you've been very helpful. So let's head there and see what we can see. Now then, let us begin our search. Since I've never actually seen the Justiciar, I suggest we find the Radiant Host Soldier first. They do all wear similar armor, after all. Search your surroundings for the Radiant. You may move the camera as well as zoom in and out. Target the soldier and inspect him with right trigger A. That must be him, but what happened? We'd better get down there quickly. Not to worry, he's unconscious, but otherwise appears unharmed. What happened? We heard you came here in pursuit of the Justiciar. Do you remember anything? Yes, I eventually found him. He was confronting that fiend that now lies dead. Alas, the Justiciar graces Ratatan. I shall bring unending peace to this beleaguered land. You were brave to follow in my path. Few indeed possess the mettle to even consider the terrors which threaten our home, let alone stand against them. Yet courageous though you may be, you are far too weak to fell a beast so mighty. Quit this place with your life while you are yet able. I am of the Radiant Host. If I ran from such meager prey, I would become a laughingstock. How bold to look death in the eye without flinching. I doubt not your conviction to defend Razatan, yet I believe it pales before mine. O Apex, bestow upon me your divine might. Do you not heed my call? I require your power more than ever. Is something supposed to happen? Why, am I yet unworthy? Or mayhap there is a button I must press. This is not what I expected. Stand aside, I'll dispose of this pest. Just give me a moment, it cannot end like this. I won't be made a fool. Come on, you moldy trinket, work. Transform me into the hero of Razatan. He brandished that idol and became wreathed in a mysterious light. Then boulders started falling from the sky. Down they came, one after the other. That's when I must have been struck unconscious. I recall only faintly, but I think I heard the main man mumbling, quite excitedly, as if he had come upon a sudden revelation, or as if he was overtaken by madness. Seems he got away unscathed. Either he had an incredible stroke of luck, or whatever he was beseeching to actually answered. And it's as I suspected. The Justiciar is the selfsame thief who stole the perch of the Apex. No doubt he's long departed from here. First I'll escort this fellow back to Yedlamad and keep a close eye on him. Head wounds can have a dreadful after effect. The soldier made his way to Razatan to make a formal report, and what an odd report it will be. His account seemed to align with legends of the treasure's powers. The wielder escaped unharmed and brought ruin to those around him. If those falling rocks have been a freak accident, I'm not so sure. You won't believe it, he came back. Who came back? The Justiciar? Yes, not long after you left. He said he beat up a monster that knocked out a Radiant and he was laughing his head off. Did he really do that? Is he really stronger than the Radiants? Kind of what happened. Whatever he did, the monster was slain, I suppose. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Well, my mate can't stop talking about him. He wants to be just like the Justiciar. His mom and dad weren't happy about that, though. I'd advise you and your friend to look for a different role model, but we thank you for telling us what happened. Well, there is one less fiend skulking about, I suppose. He may have been simply testing the treasure's capabilities, and as far as we know, he's yet to use its power to evil ends. I find his motivations a mystery. To steal the perch of the Apex by force, only to come here to Thavnair and use it for good? It makes no sense. You've heard tell of this passage of the Unbound, yes? Many have ventured to Tuliolo claiming to be their victims, yet here they would be saviors? He had such noble goals, then why did he stoop to such devious deception? What could he be plotting? That's neither here nor there. He stole from my people, and that misdeed can't be forgiven. The Perch of the Apex helped us win peace. By its might, our forebears built the foundation of the lives we now lead. Till recently, it stood silent, a symbol of our pride as a people. It reminded us that we carved out a home within that inhospitable wilderness. Being trusted with his protection is a great honor. I was so proud of my father when the elders chose him, so proud to be his daughter. Yet since the day it was stolen, some of the other villagers made their disdain towards him only too clear. I couldn't bear it. So I must get it back to restore my village's pride and my father's reputation. There's still so much we don't know about the Justiciar, but we have to assume he's learned to wield the Apex's power. I can't say whether those falling rocks have anything to do with it, but I won't discount it outright. We'll continue looking into his whereabouts. While we still have so many questions, with both of us working together, we'll find answers soon enough. Level 90, Power Forgotten, complete. Level 92, A Brand of Justice. Bekke wears a troubled expression. Azili, I'm afraid there have been some developments that are less than encouraging. News of the Justiciar's actions have spread throughout the city, and with each retelling, his deeds become more valorous. The younger citizens in particular seem to view him as something of an idol. Despite the creatures he hunts posing no real danger, he would paint them as mighty beasts in need of felling. Of course, the Radiant Host are far too busy to trouble themselves culling every pest that casts a sideways glance at the city's gates. Yet the Justiciar has twisted circumstances to his advantage. He proclaims to anyone who will listen that the Radiant Host shrink with terror before those beasts, and that he's the only who can eradicate them. You might expect such claims to be dismissed as wild ramblings. It seems no few people have fallen for his ploy. The whispers of his exploits among the youth have practically grown into a clamor. Yet we mustn't be discouraged, for his increasing fame only makes it easier for us to sniff out his trail. And where better to start than Razatan? I'll see you there. Given how large the city is, let's split up to cover more ground. I already have a destination in mind, the High Crucible. I hear the alchemists there can concoct all manner of tinctures and powders, including those which help in detecting traces of energies left behind by magics and enchanted tools. Fallen rocks have invariably marked locations where the Justiciar has performed one of his feats, and I believe an alchemical mixture can help us determine if their presence is the work of a treasure. I'm hardly an expert in such concoctions, though, so I'll seek advice at the High Crucible. If I'm doing that, I would ask that you go into the Hall of the Radiant Host and see if they have any new information on the Justiciar's whereabouts. Does that plan sound agreeable to you? Great, now that we both have our tasks, let's get to them. I'll meet you back here once my business is done. I'm tired of hearing about this Justiciar. His popularity among the city's younglings is quickly becoming a cause for concern. As we might to refute his claims that the Radiant Host are allowing monstrous beasts to run amok, unchecked, you know how young minds are, impressionable and difficult to change once set. We initially disregarded him as a boastful eccentric, but his alarming sway over the populace can no longer be ignored. We are at present considering whether to open a formal investigation into his activities. You and this ally of yours have done well in your search thus far. You even have a working theory about the falling stones. Quite impressive. Several of our number have encountered him during their patrols, only to lose sight of him under a hail of rocks. Such incidents have become all too frequent, and many of our ranks demand we act. For now, I'm afraid this is all the help I can offer. Please share with your companion, and together we may yet unmask justice here. So much reading. We shouldn't have done all of these. Heartening to know that the Radiant hosts are taking this seriously. Thank you for speaking with me. I have good tidings as well. I explained the situation to the alchemists, and they provided a powder that should help detect traces of magic in the surrounding environment. They help because the powder reacts only faintly on its own. To function properly, it requires the skills of one practiced in the arcane arts. Luckily, I have you. I've committed the locations of all sightings to the Justiciar to memory, and the closest to us was at the Perfumed Rise. Let's hope this powder works as intended. Perfumed Rise. Justiciar was sighted near here, and I didn't see any other conspicuous stones around, so I've sprinkled the powder over this one. Now concentrate your focus or inner eye, or whatever it is that's the locus of your power, and see if you can't detect any unnatural forces. So, were you able to detect anything? I knew you could do it, so because there are no crystals in the rock, the energy you detected must be the remnants of some kind of spell, is that right? Taking the story of the Radiant we rescued previously into account, we can conclude that the Justiciar uses the treasure to call those stones down from the sky. At least we now have an inkling of its true nature. Even so, not every question has been answered. Radiant told us that even as the Justiciar stood before the creature, he seemed to have trouble calling forth the Apex's power at first. My father once said that the perch of the Apex is much like the wand he used to weave his magics, of course. The main difference between them is the unique nature of the essence stored within the treasure. I know little of such arcane instruments, but you must be quite familiar with them. How do you use yours? I channel ether into it. Perform incantations. I rely on sheer willpower. Channel ether into it. Even with the right instrument, spellcasting requires the use of specific techniques. Justiciar seems to lack any such expertise, so how did he tap into the treasure's power? I suppose the Perch of the Apex possesses some unique method of activation. When I spoke to the representatives of the other tribes about their treasures, no one mentioned special techniques being required, not that the relics should have much in common to begin with. Dynamis? You too. Did you see an Ori girl pass through here by herself? I'm afraid not. What happened? Wait, I recognize you both. The hero of the final days and our recent visitor from Tural. Apologies for the imposition, but may I beg your assistance? All that Justicier's fault. The girl said she was off to join that fool's crusade and ran out of Yedlamad before anyone could stop her. Ways from there. Her mother begged us to find her, but if she's following Justiciar, she could be anywhere. You see, he's been sighted at locations scattered all over Thavnair. Can't stand here looking at rocks while a girl isn't in danger, especially if the Justiciar is involved. We have to help. It'd be much appreciated. We're searching for places where the Justiciar has been spotted before, so perhaps you could start where he hasn't been seen. Good idea. As far as I know, he hasn't been sighted at the northern shores. Come on, Zilly. Oh. I heard fighting, so I came as fast as I could. It's a good thing you arrived in time to save the girl. Thank you, miss. Thank you. Glad you're safe, but your mother must be worried sick. You shouldn't wander off like that, especially not to look for a trickster like the Justiciar. What? You mean he's a bad man? Yes, exactly. He stole an important treasure from my village, and now he's using it to make himself look brave. But he needs it to kill the monsters, to protect us. It's no excuse for stealing. He might have fooled you younglings, but the Radiant hosts know what he's up to. He said he'd save us from the monsters. He's our hero. Radiant said we shouldn't be scared, but we all know the Justiciar is the one who keeps us safe. We don't need the Radiants anymore. I would be very upset to hear you say that. No hero can save the world alone. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say bad things about the Radiants. They protected everyone in the final days. I guess I forgot how much they care about us. I'm sorry too, I shouldn't have spoken to you like that after all you've been through. You said the Justiciar is a thief and a trickster, but I hope it's not true. He's my hero. Oh, I'd best escort her back to Yedlamad. I'll meet you there. Girl and her mother are reunited, and I think we can both give ourselves a pat on the back. They're on their way now to inform the Radiant host that all is well. I would like to apologize for before. I let my emotions get the better of me and harangued that poor girl when she was hardly to blame for anything. I really should have been scolding myself. Something I neglected to tell you before. The man who now calls himself the Justiciar came to us in the guise of a worldly merchant. He was eager to ask about the perch of the Apex and its history, and I was equally eager to tell him, not even considering what he might do with the information. So proud of my father for being appointed as its guardian, I suppose I was trying to impress this stranger out of sheer vanity. That vanity led to my father being attacked and the treasure being stolen from under our noses. I have no choice but to make amends for my mistake and bring it back. Yet some are convinced that the Justiciar acts only to serve the greater good. I couldn't accept that he might not be as rotten as I thought and lashed out at the wrong person. From now on, I can't let my emotions cloud my judgment. I must remain calm and look at the facts for what they are, and the facts say that the Justiciar has done no harm to the people of Thavnair. I mean, he hit that one guy with a rock. Even so, the organization he serves, the Passage of the Unbound, is evil to its very core. If his actions at my village are not villainy, I don't know what it is. The situation is fraught with contradictions. I still don't know what to think. What about you? There's still too many unanswered questions. Even if he hasn't attacked anyone, his actions are stirring unrest. I agree, he speaks of justice and heroism with great bluster, yet there's something we're missing. Thank you for your wise words. I sometimes find it difficult to keep my heart from skewing my perspective, so I'm grateful that you're here to help me see clearly. It seems our objective is unchanged. We track down the man who stole my people's sacred treasure, whatever his intentions may be. Unraveling them comes secondary to finding the man himself. I continue to pour my every effort into the search. I'll stop by from time to time, and I may have something new to share with you. Level 92, Brand of Justice. Complete. Level 94, the Seeds of Popularity. Becca is eager to share the new developments in the search for the Justiciar. Hope you've been well. Since last we spoke, the Justiciar has been busy felling fiends all across Thavnair, leaving a trail of witnesses behind in his wake. More than a few have reported seeing stones falling from the sky, which all but confirms our theory that the treasure is causing the phenomenon. Stories share one more peculiar commonality. It seems the pests he hunts have all been of the Seedkin variety. Why he avoids beasts of the flesh and blood is yet a mystery. Bears mentioning that each of these eyewitness accounts came from people who were rescued by Justiciar, who invariably appears just as these creatures attack. In fact, the Justiciar has been there to save the day in every single instance of Seedkin-related mischief. Awfully suspicious, if you ask me, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. Some among the Radiant hosts have suggested that Justiciar is planning to these assaults somehow so he can alone reap the glory from thwarting them. I agree, then I think this should be our next avenue of investigation. Many of the incidents occurred near the giant skull ground, so we should start our search there. If we can find one of these monstrous plants before it finds hapless prey, we may be able to shed light upon the Justiciar. But time is of the essence, so let's leave at once. Yeah, we might should have spaced them out a bit. When all of these all at once, it's kind of. We're almost done with this section. 2 to 94 and be done with it. Any moving bushes, slithering vines? Not here in any case. I'll search the western path. Why don't you search east? Whoops. not weaken. That's it all the way. See plenty of fauna roaming about, but the flora all seems to be of the rooted to the ground variety. Perhaps my hunch was incorrect. Found one. In fact, this is exactly as an eyewitness described. Why don't you keep it for the time being? Bring it to the Great Work, and I'll ask my acquaintance there to examine it with all haste. A lot of acquaintances for coming here. Oh. There. Becky told me what to expect. Well, then let's see the thing. Oh, I didn't expect it to be so diminutive. Mistress Tebecki's intuition is correct, and I expect some interesting discoveries are in store. Brought me quite the fascinating specimen. Indeed, I can say for certain that this creature's growth isn't natural in the slightest. Biologically, it's still but a sapling, but you can tell by its size. Yet it is the result of a specific alchemical mixture which is used to spur the growth of seeds and mycelium to an unnatural degree. The agents have a side effect of making the creatures more aggressive, which explains why such a small specimen would so boldly attack beings larger than itself. Yet the solution requires ingredients most rare. The cost of procuring enough to synthesize it would be beyond the means of most. To whoever is behind this, they are likely well heeled. As for the creatures themselves, if they were all grown artificially, perhaps that explains why most of the incidents involve small seedkin. Rather than wait for them to mature naturally, the Justiciar must have accelerated their growth so that he could deploy huge numbers over a short span of time. In fact, his plan likely requires that they be small, weak foes in order to guarantee his victory. After all, the great Justiciar can hardly be expected to bear the blemish of defeat. These new details brought to light, it's almost certain he's staging these attacks on the common folk. Now we have a new perspective to guide our search. Perhaps you should return to Yedlamad. I hear the Justiciar is the talk of the village, and they doubtless have stories to share. Splendid idea, thank you. Your findings have brought us a step closer to unmasking that villain. Let's hurry to Yedlamad. The more accounts we have of the Justiciar, the better our chances of predicting his next move. Radiant hosts are well aware of the Justiciar. Every day we receive more reports of him combating beasts in surrounding wilderness. These encounters are never on well-traveled roads. It seems they occur in remote regions as we scarcely patrol long routes that are only used by a small number of merchants and partners. We've concluded that the Justiciar either has uncommon knowledge of the behavioral patterns of these creatures, or he keeps close company with a merchant who travels these obscure paths. Don't tell me you've come chasing that half-baked savior. The younglings might be taken in by his honeyed words, but anyone with experience can see that he's nothing but a charlatan, and I have a story to prove it. Merchant I know took a tumble as he was transporting his goods. Not long after he comes to the Justiciar, looking chivalrous as you please in his shining armor, but did he offer a helping hand? No, he ran off with nary a glance backwards. He may go on about slaying beasts, but a real hero would never ignore someone in need, even if they were just suffering from scraped knees and a bruised ego. Oh, you're hungry to learn more of the Justiciar? He's amazing. I was lucky enough to catch a glimpse of him on the road leading here, facing down a fearsome creature. I don't know how he did it, but he called down rocks from the sky to knock that thing flat. The Radiant host were away on patrol, so if he hadn't come to our rescue, the brute would have marched right into our homes. He shouted that he was the savior of Radha-tan and even waved at me. Oh, he looked so impressive with the sun shining behind him. Some experience. You have a moment? I'm having a little trouble here. I sought this merchant out because I was told he dealt with the alchemist in the great work. I thought he might know something about the Justiciar, but when I asked, he's been like this ever since. Apologies, I was just surprised that you would ask me about that madman. What connection could he possibly have with me? The fiends he fights are grown with rare alchemical materials, and we think he may be staging these encounters. Since you deal in such wares, I wondered if you might know how he came into their possession. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never spoken to that man. Very much doubt that. Perhaps he'll be more receptive to questioning from you. Seems to have intimate knowledge of the trade routes and alchemy. Who taught him, I wonder? Spit it out. You're working with him. You dare accuse me? Why, how am I to know that you aren't the one in league with Virazani? Virazani? Virazan? Virazan, you said. Who is that, may I ask? Huh? What? Did I? No, that's my name. Even like some kind of mental break. I'd be a fool to continue this charade any longer. My son Virazan is the one you know as the Justiciar. To be suddenly confronted with his litany of misdeeds, I quite lost my composure. You're his father? Then do you know how he came into possession of such rare materials and knowledge? Ah, you stole them from me, my most valuable materials and my precious maps, yet I was the one who chose to hide the fact, and I bear the blame for the consequences. Can you tell us about him as a person? Virazan was obsessed with the tales of legendary heroes, even from a young age. I paid a great deal of money to have him tutored in the art of the bow. He became quite skilled at it, in fact, but not quite as skilled as his arrogance led him to believe. Due to this, and perhaps a lack of ambition, he never aspired to true greatness. That he came to rely upon fanciful equipment and exotic potions, rather than honing what skill he had. Paid me to see him fall into dissoluteness, but I would brook no counsel. So several years ago, I gave him enough coin to support his lavish lifestyle and told him never to speak with me again. He didn't until but recently, when he darkened my doorstep once more. That was when he stole your goods? Aye, although I would have willingly given them had he but asked. He was rambling almost incoherently, saying that his heroic deeds as a justiciar had caught the eye of someone named Apyahi, leader of the Passage of the Unbound, whoever they are. He claimed that under the guidance of his newfound allies, he had obtained a great power, power enough to eclipse all heroes who have come before and shall come after, as he put it. Seems he gives what money he still has to these people. I think that for all his fanciful words, he has only deigned to grasp the hollow glory, all at the expense of Radha-tan. There is no greater shame as a father. In what we know of this shadowy group, they most likely aim to sow discontent through Virazan's deeds. He may be so blinded by his own desire for adoration that he can't see whose hands are pulling his strings. He's saying that he's being used? If that's true, then I can no longer remain silent. Despite what shame it may bring, I see now that sharing my story might be the only way to save my son. Indeed, I suggest you tell the Radiant host at once. Of course, we'll be pouring our every effort into stopping it. Thank you for giving me direction. I didn't imagine our meeting would end this way. Truth be told, I'm not entirely unsympathetic towards Virazan. I basked in my father's reflected glory while having none of my own to speak of. The glory of Virazan seeks is similarly false. I too shall visit the Radiant Host and have them spread word of the Justicio's true nature. If the people are wise to his trickery, they will be far more likely to aid us. I'll soon learn that a legend built on lies is no match for true heroism. 194, Seeds of Popularity, complete. Level 96, Floundering Fame. Peke appears pleased with the blow dealt to the Justicio's credibility. Greetings, Illy. Virazan's father has been as good as his word and has confessed the truth of his son's actions to whomever will listen. Even among the younglings, far fewer sing the Justicio's praises. The tide is turning in our favor at last, and the Radiant Host are making ready to tighten the net. Speaking of which, they had curious news to share. They've been examining the stones left behind by the Justicia and noticed a pattern. They were all varieties of rock commonly found near the site of each encounter. For instance, near the Giant Skull grounds, the Justiciar seems to have called down a hail of what else but Giant Skull. I have my own theories about what this means, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Rocks weren't summoned but moved. It's safe to say the artifact doesn't create rocks from nothing. Indeed, the perch of the apex likely lifts whatever stones are nearby and brings them crashing down to earth. If our suspicions are correct, we're one step closer to unraveling its mysteries. Despite these favorable developments, the Justiciar's popularity remains a problem. Even with the recent blow to his credibility, his most ardent followers still idolize him. In fact, I hear he's handing letters to the youth of Razatan, though their contents are closely guarded secret. All the more reason to investigate, don't you think? Once we get to Razatan, if I question people around the marketplace, could you cover the city's western quarter? That's where his younger followers tend to gather. After we've collected enough information, let's meet to share our findings. See you again at Razatan. Razatan! Okay. The Justiciar gave me that invitation himself, only for some thief to snatch it right out of my hand. Huh, you believe in the Justiciar too? Well, I didn't have a chance to read the whole letter before it was stolen, but he's gathering his most devoted for a special audience. The bastard who stole my invitation is clearly up to no good. He even muttered something about getting revenge, but who could hate someone so noble? Oh, you're the one who's always following that Tepeke around. I heard she's spreading rumors about this city's savior. Won't let her harm his reputation any more than she already has, so I've nothing to say to her lapdog. Damn. Hey. How you really feel? Yeah, I know about the letters. Me and my friends didn't get one, though. The grown-ups get angry if we talk about the Justiciar. Guess what? I heard Zashal talking about him over by Merid's Mehane, and they had a big grin on his face, too. Does that mean the Justiciar isn't a bad man like the grown-ups say? Most useful clue points to the merchant at Zashal having some connection to Virazan. He was last seen near Merid's Mehane. Okay. Ah, it's true what they say. A fool and his gill are soon parted. Huh? Why, if it isn't one of the heroes of the final days, this isn't about that map I sold to your companion, is it? You'll find it points the way to the vaults of Alzadal III, exactly as described. I may have employed a few creative methods to entice my customers, but what merchant doesn't? I'm not here about the map. I see you're as unscrupulous as ever. Now, a man can't fill his belly on virtue and honesty. Any road, something tells me that's not why you're here. You're after the Justiciar. Your choice of quarry is unusual, to say the least. Perhaps I can help you along. A young man came asking for a map to open the way to Uznair. I sold him every map I had, assuring him that the one he needed was among them. Suppose he found it, as I hear these letters that were handed out contain a copy of a map. I dare say that young fellow was a justiciar himself, and he's planning a clandestine meeting in the Uznair canals. Mind you, it appears he has no shortage of enemies. No doubt they'll try to interfere. Thankfully, Razatan isn't known for large-scale criminal organizations, but that hasn't kept the less scrupulous citizens from dirtying their hands when times are desperate. What I hear, bandits seeking to rob trade caravans keep running into the Justiciar during his fiend-felling exploits, causing their raids to end in failure. Like as not, they'll try to infiltrate his group of followers and settle the score. That's where my knowledge of the matter ends. If you're wondering where the meeting place is, all I remember is that the spot marked on the copied maps is somewhere in the Shroud of the Samga. So, does that answer your queries? Great. Those in support of the Justiciar didn't seem surprised when I told them of his misdeeds, but still they were reluctant to betray him. In short, I've had no luck. What about you? Your investigative abilities never cease to amaze me. As for the gathering Virazan is planning, I suspected some scheme to prop up his flagging popularity. Even so, many of his devotees are younglings, ill-equipped to make the perilous journey to the meeting place. If they've any sense, rather than attempt to travel there directly, they'll stop at settlements along the way to rest and confirm the route. Said the map led into the Shroud of the Samga, yes? That means Palakistan is the closest settlement. I hear many took refuge there during the final days, and it's now a bustling town in its own right. Arrival of more people would hardly raise eyebrows, making it the perfect place to avoid unwanted attention while they make ready. We should head there before they leave on the final leg of their journey. Palakistan. Was right. Many of the youths are carrying pieces of parchment. Those must be the letters. Yet it seems my reputation has preceded me. Our suspected followers clearly avoid me whenever I try to approach them. Still, we can use this to our advantage. None of them would dare leave Palakistan while there's risk I might follow after. I'll keep watch over the comings and goings, but we'll make sure to leave obvious blind spots. If one of the Justiciar's followers attempts to escape the village, I need you to go after them. Now find a vantage point that affords a good view while keeping you hidden. Once you've started pursuing our unwitting target, I won't be far behind. Follow the young man from the safe distance. The objective will end in failure if you are noticed or if you fall too far behind. If you fail, return to the starting point to reattempt the objective. Where even is he? Detective, where's the guy at? What are you doing? If they find out that we're working together, this will all be for nothing. Watch from a hidden vantage point and follow anyone you see trying to leave Palakistan quietly. Trying to figure out which way he went. Completely missed it. Not on the map anywhere? Oh, I need to click on the destination again? I'm so stupid. Attempt to follow the furtive view. Follow the young man from a safe distance. The objective will end in failure if you are noticed or if you fall too far behind. Okay, well, where the hell is he? Did you fail? Return to starting point to reattempt the objective. Okay, well, I did it right. I just couldn't find him. Okay, there he is. Yeah, I completely missed him the first time. In the clear, I need to hurry. I hate these. Really do. Not a fan. I mean, they're fine. Okay. Portal should be nearby, and then I'll finally meet him. What? You're the hero who saved us in the final days. What are you doing here? So you're working alongside that woman I saw at the village. I heard about the rumors she's spreading, but I had no idea she'd enlisted your aid. Justiciar saved me, you see. I was transporting goods for a local merchant who was too miserly to even hire a proper escort. A ferocious creature ambushed me, but my savior appeared from nowhere and saw off the beast. I owe him my life. That's why I came here, to see if there's any truth to the rumors. Now I understand I'm in over my head. I'm going back home. Here, you can have the map. I trust you to take the measure of the Justiciar and to share the truth with us all. Apologies for watching from the shadows, but I was afraid my presence might have startled the lad. I was able to hear what he said, though, and his gratitude towards the Justiciar seemed genuine. Dare say the other followers feel similarly. But now that we have the map of our own, let's open the portal and confront Virazon. Get attacked already? What a sight. Did the treasure cause this? Oh my, if it isn't the hero who saved Ratatan, nay, the world itself. I never expected someone so vaunted to attend my audience. but I am honored nonetheless. Enough of your games, Virazon. Stop this madness at once. After giving you such a warm welcome, these are the thanks I get? Well, 'tis true that I was once known by that name. 'Twas merely a guise I wore until I discovered my true self. So long as I am masked hero of Razatan, I shall not suffer any to call me Virazon. But that is your name, isn't it? Heroes should take pride in their name. The game is up. We've exposed your true identity. Why don't you drop the act and try being a true hero? True hero, you say? Indeed, perhaps casting aside this mask is the price I must pay for the adoration I am due. Very well, my name shall ring throughout Razatan. Let it be known that the Justiciar is Virazon, and Virazon is the Justiciar. What are you saying? You unleashed Perch of the Apex upon your own followers. You know its name? Wait, I remember you, the girl from Jacques Tarral, yes? Your village's artifact is not discriminating in its wrath. Some among my followers harbored wicked intentions, and it brought sorrow unto my enemies. The true of heart caught in the aftermath were merely unfortunate. But they believed in you, even though you tricked them. What kind of hero are you? You too would oppose me? I had thought that as fellow saviors we might find some common ground, yet it would seem we are destined to walk different paths. Now faced with unknown peril, a great fervor rages within me. However, here is not where we shall match wits. No, a more fitting battleground is in order. We will meet again soon, you have my word. Ah, shut up. Yeah. So, can you tell us what happened here? Gathered us all around and made a grand speech, claimed he was the hero that would drive back the flood of fiends threatening Thavnair. Then he spoke of his anger at the recent rumors. He told us to go forth and repair his damaged reputation so that the people would love him again. He became quite impassioned, in fact. As for us two, we were here to teach him a lesson, biding our time until his back was turned, but we couldn't stomach his self-righteous drivel any longer. He acts like he's a god come to grace Thavnair, but most people have grown wise to his tricks, including the Radiant Host. We stepped forward and told him as much, then demanded that he admit he's been pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. That's when he started waving that thing about. We soon learned that the rumors of its power were true, and rocks started falling down around us. Even us true believers were not spared. There was nowhere to run. Justiciar said such power cannot be fettered and that sacrifices are unavoidable, and all the while he was laughing. We pleaded with him for mercy, but that just made him angrier. He flourished the object again, and yet more rocks assailed us. It was horrible. Stones big and small raining down endlessly until you two appeared, that is. Thank you for telling us what happened. I only wish we could have arrived sooner. Now, just to set things straight, it was you two that brandished your weapons first, yes? Well, I won't deny that, but we weren't only trying to bring the truth of his misdeeds to light. We might have had some personal scores to settle on top of that. Before I left Palakistan, I asked the Radiant Host there to look out for anyone returning from the wilderness. I suggest you head there and seek their aid. While you're there, share with them what you just told us, and as for the pair of you, don't even think about running away or you'll have us to deal with. Everyone has returned to the care of the Radiant Host. As for those ruffians who meant to attack Virazon, it seems they had a history of violence for which they may soon answer. Several among Virazon's followers were dealt serious wounds, but we can be grateful that none lost their lives. Exactly as the old saying describes, the master of the Apex shall be showered with good fortune, yet leave only sorrow in their wake. The part about sorrow certainly seems true at least. We can but hope that Virazon's spell over the people will be broken at last when word of what transpired here becomes common knowledge. Let that buoy our spirits as we return to Yedlamad. Well, that was certainly an ordeal. Although Virazon got away, we can look back upon what transpired to plan our next course of action. It appears that the treasure takes rocks from the surrounding environment and makes them rain up down upon the wielder's surroundings. The power seems to be somewhat haphazard. While Virazon himself wasn't struck, the boulders assailed friend and foe alike. Something else has been nagging at me as well. The stones we saw in the canal seem quite a bit larger than the others. I don't know what to make of it, but I will give it some thought. We still don't know exactly how he controls the Apex's abilities either. We must focus on these mysteries as we continue our investigation. As for Virazon himself, he was just as his father said, wasn't he? His so-called heroism is an empty charade, like a child playing at being a hero from their storybooks. He seems motivated by a vain desire to gain the love of the people, yet he cares nothing for their well-being. He'll learn his lesson soon enough, though. None will sing his praises after word of what happened at Uznar spreads. Even he must know this. I worry that his desperation will drive him to worse misdeeds. If the treasure is used with reckless abandon, it could cause untold harm. I must discuss this with the Radiant Host. Together we might be able to capture Virazon before he attempts anything drastic. Stand by for now. I'll be in touch the moment I have something to share. Level 96, Floundering Fame, complete. Level 98, Behind the Helm. Becky wishes to share the contents of a recent delivery with you. Seems Virazon has been laying low since our last encounter. I'm sad to say, however, that my investigations have uncovered little, but still there's cause to celebrate, for I've received a letter from my mother with good tidings. Father has finally awakened after the grievous wound dealt to him by Virazon. He's well enough to travel to Tuliolal, in fact, and may have already arrived. Of course, I'd love nothing more than to go to him, but I pledged not to return until I had the perch of the Apex in hand. Besides, I'm soon to depart with the Radiant Host to try and sniff out Virazon's whereabouts before he acts out of desperation. If I ask that you go in my stead as the treasure's guardian, no one living is more knowledgeable about its history than he. If you share with him all that's transpired since we began our search, he may be able to point out something that we've missed. I know it's a lot to ask, but the safety of Thavnair depends on it, and please give my family my regards. My mother should be able to tell you where in Tuliolal my father is staying. Once you've finished, let us meet at the Aetherite Plaza in Razatan to share what we've learned. If it isn't Zilly, but I don't see Tefeke with you. You come alone? Glad to hear my letter arrived safely and that Tefeke seems to be tenacious as ever in her search. My father, Netse, has already arrived here in Tuliolal, but has barely stayed in one place since. He seems desperate to help Tefeke from a distance in whatever way he can. He told me he was traveling to the Iorianyan plain in search of information he assured me was quite vital. If you wish to speak with him, he'll doubtless be in the area. Thank you, traveler. I overextended myself, but I've but recently recovered from a severe injury and was a fool to confront such a beast alone. So you're the Zilly I've heard so much about. I owe you many thanks for all you've done to recover the perch of the Apex. News of your progress in Thavnair is most heartening. Despite my position as its guardian, I never knew it could rain down stones from the heavens. Since arriving in Tiliol, I've done what I can to shed light upon the Tural Vidral sealed within the treasure. After the nations of Tural were unified, some left our village to build new homes in the city. I've sought them out to see if they know anything of use. Fortunately, none could offer insight into their treasure's magics, but one of them told me that owls lurked around this place. Since the Tural Vidral sealed within the perch of the Apex was once an owl, it seemed logical to pursue such a quarry. Thought perhaps I could glean something about the ancient beasts from their behavior. Like as not, some fundamental aspects remain the same even after transformation. Having heard your account, there's one fundamental difference that stands out. As far as I'm aware, no owl native to these lands possesses the ability to hurl rocks, large or otherwise. No doubt the Tural Vidral gained this power following its metamorphosis. I do believe, however, that it would retain an owl's core instincts, that when you fought didn't strike unprovoked. Instead, it watched me from afar with fear in its eyes. While this is normal behavior for most animals, I was surprised by how suddenly it descended upon me the moment I started approaching. Sense danger and attacked preemptively. Maybe owls prefer to fight rather than run. I had the same thought. The owl sensed a threat and chose to confront it rather than run from it. This same impulse may have driven the Tural Vidral. Indeed, that correlates with something I heard from one of my countrymen who had relocated to Iliola. He spoke of continuation in the tales pressed down from the elders. No hunter's arrow could fell the Apex. It was struck down in a storm of its own wrath, made wild by a heart of fright. Thus was it sealed away at last. Judging from the owl's behavior, I can theorize that the treasure is activated when its bearer senses danger, and according to the story, its power can easily get out of hand if the bearer is panicked. Of course, this theory must be tested first. Virazon will certainly use the perch of the Apex again. When he does, I ask that you and Tepeke pay special attention to the circumstances leading to his activation. You have my thanks. Loath though I am to admit it, I've yet to recover from my long convalescence, and I would only be a burden to you. I wish I could aid my daughter another way, but you more than make up for my absence. Please lend her every bit of knowledge you have. I pray that my daughter will soon return home, treasure in hand. You came just in time. Virazon has shown his face in Razatan. You can tell me about your journey to Tiliolol later. For now, come with me. Ha ha ha, are you surprised? Thanks to the sage counsel of a fellow hero, I have decided to doff my mask. Although my face may be unfamiliar, I believe you know who I am. I was once the Justiciar, but now you may call me Virazon. I am Thavnair's protector, its savior, its hero. You may have heard salacious rumors that I have orchestrated the very attacks which so valiantly drive back. That I was behind the catastrophe at the Uznar canals. I am here to assure you. Those are false aspersions, all cast by those who are envious of their betters. I give my life for this fair city and its people, and I would give more still if I could. What should we do? It might be best to lock him up before this gets out of hand. Wait, we don't want him raining down rocks with all these bystanders around. For now, keep a careful eye on him. All I ask for is your respect, your adoration, a dream held by all, but realized only by the few. I would be one of those few. I have proven myself worthy being your savior, and now, with an entire city watching with bated breath, I shall declare my intent to reach even higher. Yes, for I can protect you all the better as your ruler. I shall retire the mantle of hero and take up the crown as King of Frasatan. Future might have something to say about that. Bastard's gone mad. Wield power unassailable. With me on your throne, you would never again have cause to fear. I would live in peace. I would shower me with love. They would shout it from to the heavens, and from that love would spring a new Razatan, a greater Razatan. Enough of your lies, Virazan. The power you wield protects none but yourself. To everyone else, it brings only ruin. Of course, the road to greatness is ever paved with necessary sacrifices, yet so long as your ruler lives, Razatan shall know naught but prosperity. You think you're better than Master Vertra? He bore this city and its people on his back, while you look fit to collapse under the weight of your own armor. You're no leader, you're a damn joke. Does this man speak for you all? Is there not one among you who would follow me into a brighter future? But I am nothing if not magnanimous. Till you find the wisdom to accept me as ruler, I shall continue to stand vigilant as your eternal shield. Stop this, Virazan. You're only making it worse for yourself. Can't you see you've become a laughingstock? Give up this facade and answer for your sins. Do so now, and the Radiant Host may yet grant you mercy. My sins? Are you not the one poisoning the people against me? Do your worst. I dare you. It will only make me more powerful. I know not what is in your heart, but please end this madness. End it and return to me, my son. Uh-oh. Don't get any closer. You two, why are you? What? Don't. If we fight here, there's no telling how many innocents will be wounded. Pathetic, as ever. I tire of this farce. I've declared my intent to become king of Razatan. As for you two, this is no place for a battle between heroes. We shall meet again, mark my words, and then we shall decide who is the mightier. Can't risk a confrontation in the city. We must focus on restoring order. You're right, of course. As much as I hate to see Virazan walk free, we've yet to ascertain the extent of his power. For now, we must bide our time. I noticed that despite all his proclaimed love for its people, he didn't even look back at them as he retreated. Perhaps he couldn't bear to look them in the eyes, or one of them at least. It was a disaster. Virazan is truly lost. At the very least, he's committed himself to fomenting unrest within Razatan. Although he's my son, I cannot condone his actions. His words are grand but empty, and that ridiculous armor is nothing more than gaudy decoration. He is truly the embodiment of false heroism. It's more his latest debacle has surely made him a criminal in the eyes of the Radiant Hosts. All I can do now is beg them to grant my son some small degree of clemency. Before you go, may I ask you something? After Virazan called down the rocks, did you see his expression? I thought it peculiar, but I'm curious as to what his father saw in that face. It was a familiar look. When I used to scold him for losing himself in make-believe, he would get the same cast in his eye. look of petulant rage, as if he resented me for pulling him out of his reverie and into harsh reality. He hasn't changed. Apologies, but I must go. Just as I thought, even clad in his shining armor, he can't bear to be told no, and now his childish game has taken a malevolent turn. But for now, we should return to Yedlamad. I still have yet to hear what you learned in Tiliolol, after all. Now that we have some room to breathe, I'd like to hear about your journey to Tyrol. Did my father have anything to share? Important to know he's well enough to go chasing after owls and such, though I wish he'd take more care. Thank you for saving him and for bringing me his theory concerning the treasure. It really is triggered by a sense of impending danger. That might explain why Virazon had trouble using it the first time. He wasn't truly afraid of that small fungi until it was almost upon him. Also explains how he can wield the Apex's powers despite having no training in magic. It responds to emotion, not intent. So much is falling into place. He goaded the Radiance into apprehending him because he knew the threat would be answered. Saw how nonchalantly he quit that plaza, almost as if defying someone to stop him. Virazon truly believes himself to be untouchable. I think his words and deeds align with the theory well enough. As for that curious fragment of the story, seemed to imply that the Tyrol Vidral lost control in a panic. Perhaps its strength grows in proportion to the danger it senses. And when that danger is too great, well, that's what happened at the Uznaur Canals and Razatan. You were present both times, as were others who wished Virazon ill. Both times we saw stones much larger than we've seen before. Now I understand why he's so eager to face you. An opponent of your caliber will strike fear into Virazon's very core, and that fear will summon a power greater than any he's ever known, power enough to bring a hero to her knees. So he thinks, but we know better. We'll use that arrogance to our advantage and bring him crashing down to earth. Though we may have to contend with falling rocks for a time, in a straight fight he'll be outmatched, so we strike fast and strike hard until that fancy armor is nothing more than mangled steel. Though you may prefer to put your foes to sleep and whatnot, we know he has an arsenal of alchemical concoctions at his disposal. That's why I suggest a bit of good old-fashioned brute force. But you unleash your most fearsome destructive spells, I'll be at your shield. Don't even think of holding back. I look forward to fighting by your side. Now we simply have to find a suitable arena. Shall consult the Radiant Host as the location. Once that's decided, we'll confront Virazon for the final time. Level 98, behind the helm, complete. Level 100. Excuse me. Level 100, Heroes and Pretenders. Tepeke is ready to tear down a false hero. You'll be pleased to know the Radiant Hosts were most helpful in finding a place fit for a duel. When I saw it, even I began to believe our encounter would be one for the songs. Speaking of which, it seems your name is on the lips of all and sundry. People already consider you the true savior of Razatan and believe you will bring Virazon the deceitful to justice. We apologize for putting so much weight on your shoulders, but something tells me you're used to it. Final showdown shall take place in the mountain pass leading to Khadga, where great crystals will stand as witness to its conclusion, suitably romantic and suitably isolated. Radiant hosts have spread word throughout Thavner that a hero has arisen to challenge Virazon, and his pride will force him to answer. The entrance to the pass is at Giant Skull Grounds. Let's head there at once to await his arrival. Who kicks the ass? All right. Cromwell here has opened the way towards Khadga. I'm certain Virazon will arrive before long, and then we'll wipe that arrogant grin off his face. But first, we should check our gear and gird our loins for battle. Are you ready? Duty calls. Commence battle for heroes and pretenders. Level sync is in effect. If you are above the maximum allowed level, will be synced as follows. Level 100, item level 680, proceed. There he is. Through the cragged peaks of Khadga, desolate winds blow over the field of battle. Oh, what a fitting location you have chosen for the conclusion of this legendary rivalry. I was right not to face you before. In environs unsuited to a struggle between titans, now my patience has been rewarded and my heart races in anticipation. Knew you would answer our challenge. You would never be able to stomach the people calling you craven. Such boldness in the face of impending doom. Have you not realized by now that so long as I wield the perch of the apex, I am invincible? We'll soon put that to the test. You rely too much upon stolen power. It deludes you. You claim to be a savior to the people, but they have seen through your lies. Even your own father can scarcely bear to look at you. You're nothing but a small, small man hiding within the hollow facade of a hero, and today we tear that facade down. Will you now? You may have the medal, but have you the puissance to claim the mantle of a hero? My mantle? I mean, I did save the universe. Unbound, Virazon the Deceiver. This time for words is past. Follow my lead. We do. Chemical minions, huh? I owed you. Defeated them already. armor. He ruined his armor. What? Oh, didn't see that one right there. Oh, Spirit's on. Rotten piece of wood was supposed to make me invincible. The artifact. I'm a hero. Someone saved me. Yay, duty complete. He's out cold now to take back the treasure. But this can't happen. A hero never fails, never falls. I must retreat, yes, a tactical retreat, a noble retreat, so that the justiciar may live to save another day. Huh? Suppose the apex wasn't finished yet. Seems that Virazon, in his cowardly haste, neglected to look skyward. Was it an unfortunate accident? Or fate delivering his just desserts? He claimed to be Radatan's savior, yet he sowed only discontent among its people. Perhaps some days in the sunless jail will give him time to reflect upon the error of his ways. Now I finally recovered the perch of the apex. Thank you for coming this far with me. Battle was hard fought, but we made it through. Virazon is the responsibility of the Radiant Host now. Now that I've done what I pledged to do, I must return home and bring the good tidings to my mother and father. Yet before doing so, there are many others I must thank. In the meantime, can I count on you to meet my family in Tuliolol for one final farewell? My parents will surely be glad to see you again. I didn't expect to see you in Tuliolol again so soon. Is Tepeke well? You really did it, and the man who stole our sacred treasure will answer for his deeds. Father, Mother, it's good to see you. I'm sure Zilly's already told you what happened. I couldn't have retrieved our treasure without her. But we've heard, yet Zilly also told us your wits and bravery were essential to your success. On behalf of our whole village, I thank you for guiding Tepeke in our quest. Now the perch of the apex must be returned and put under careful guard once again. The story of the Tural Vidrol's demise proves that we are not meant to wield its power as our own. Sorry, Father, but I disagree. Once I return to the village, I want to tell everyone what happened in Thavnir. They need to know what the treasure is capable of, or else we risk forgetting once again. I won't deny that the Apex's power is dangerous. I saw with my own eyes what happens when it's wielded with abandon. Yet during the course of our search, I also saw potential. If we fully understood how it worked, we could use it without risk to ourselves or other people. We could turn something we once feared to our advantage, instead of letting it become obscured in legend. See the reason in that. We must be ever ready for danger, even in times of peace. Should our safety be threatened, the treasure may grant us a means to protect ourselves. But can we be trusted to use it responsibly? Great power breeds great desire. Someone with the same ambition as Virazon may arise again, perhaps from among our own. I dare say that once I've regaled them with the rise and fall of the Justicia, they'll think twice before following in his misguided footsteps. As our forebears relied on the legend of the Tural Vidral's fate to forbid the treasure's use, we can rely on the story of Virazon's fate to urge caution, and this time we have someone who lived through it to tell the tale. Of course, if I'm going to be guiding people in safe use of potentially dangerous treasure, I see no choice but to inherit my father's position as its guardian. Some may raise their eyebrows at the prospect of loose-lipped Tebeke serving as the perch of the Apex's protector, but I've grown from my mistakes. Who better to tell the tale of Virazon and Tebeke's failures? Your only mistake was in trusting Virazon, the same as I and many others. But unlike him, you have the willpower to overcome your own failings. Over the course of your long and arduous journey, you gained a wealth of experiences, and your efforts have finally been rewarded. You took responsibility for your actions, and by so doing, proved your conviction to our people. They shall listen to this proposition with open minds, I am certain. Now we must say farewell. As much as it pains me to do so, I owe you a debt I could never hope to repay. To return to the village, I'll do my utmost to protect the treasure we worked so hard to retrieve. Until next we meet, may fortune smile upon you. Level 100, Heroes and Pretenders, complete. Even unlocked, Reach for the Apex.